What's happening, everybody, man? Good evening. It's your boy right here, the Boxing Lowdown, and we are here for episode number 59, of the Boxing Lowdown podcast, joined by my main man, my father, Mr. Controversial in the building. People want to hear what you got to say. Laurie from AFTV in the house. What's good, man? What's good? What's good? What's good?
Boom, 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 overhand right, oh, he's down. George Kambosos.
You know what, Laurie? Yeah, before I do my little bit, I'm just gonna say the comments are. We've already got people in here. Francisco can't make it today, but he said I was looking forward to Laurie's rendition of the Australian national anthem. He'll probably even do the Greek anthem, but I'll have to watch later. IB has said here, Christmas has really come truly and early for Laurie. Laurie looks like a bachelor, as young as ever. Harvey has said here, let's get ready to rumble. Ian Hamilton is saying here, evening all. I've got a feeling Laurie is chomping at the bit, waiting for today. Take it away, the knowledge. Harvey has said here, I'm really looking forward to Laurie on this one, man. Yeah, you know why, innit?
Oh, man. Listen, let me tell you something, right? You know the thing I love about boxing, though? It's almost unique in sports because when boxing serves up karma, there's no other thing like it in life, man. Trust me. This sport, when it serves up karma, trust me, it does it in a way that no other sport can. And at the weekend, man, I was loving every. I'm actually going to see if I can get Australian citizenship, man. You know what I mean? Because George can, but listen, man, big up. I liked him before. Remember I said on the show last week, I loved his energy. I liked the way he weren't backing down. He was holding up to everything. He just impressed the hell out of me, man. And then fight night, what he did there was sensational. He boxed almost the perfect fight. And even the way afterwards, he could have gone at Teofimo and really rammed it down his throat. And he showed class, which incidentally is something that still Teofimo Lopez and his dad, those two guys, you would have thought that they've been humbled and they would take their licks and humble themselves. No. They're reverting to excuses. They're blaming Eddie Hearn, all these conspiracy theories. They just exemplified every reason why I wanted Cambosis to use a term that's going around in boxing at the moment, smash his face in. And that's what he did, because he didn't just beat him and knock him down. He smashed his face in. And that's what someone like that guy needs.
Yeah, well, we'll get into it, man. I mean, let's talk about the fight now. My thoughts on it. And just as I get into it, let me just say good evening to Conrad. Good to have you here. Good having you on the live chat as well yesterday. Big up Jeff TV. Big up Conrad. Big up Shane. Big up all of those guys, man. Great to be chatting to you guys. But yeah, my thoughts on the fight, Laurie. I did a video this week and I just said, look, man, I thought Teofimo Lopez's game plan was terrible. He really did underestimate Kambosos. He went in there trying to load up on that right hand. Nothing like how he boxed against Lomachenko. Obviously, they're not the same fighter, but I really think he underestimated Kambosos badly. And we saw in the first round what that could do to you. Now, over the fight itself, I thought it was up until the 11th round, I'd say, after he knocked Kambosos down, I thought that, yeah, Teo might come on strong in the 11th. I had it even at that point. Both of them I had a knockdown each. So the last two rounds for me, I know other people had different cards, but the last two rounds for me were up for grabs. And I thought Kambosos won both of them. It just told me everything I needed to know. He won both of those rounds and he won the fight by 2 rounds for me. Some people had it a bit wider. There was no dispute at all who won that, in my opinion. I don't know anyone that thought Lopez won it. I think the worst I've seen is some people score it as a draw. But Teofimo Lopez afterwards, as Harvey is saying right here, saying he won the fight 11-2 at first and then 10-2. It was just, what went wrong for Teo? What went wrong, man? And give me your scorecard as well.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that you say you had it level going into the 11th. I had Kambosos a couple of rounds going ahead before that. Now, I must admit, I don't like Teofimo Lopez, so I'm going to be prepared to admit that maybe 1 or 2 of those rounds that was close, I probably gave it to Kambosos because I wanted him to get it. But there's no doubt he won the fight. Like you said, I don't know of anybody apart from Teofimo Lopez and his dad who thought they won it. Everybody else, probably Dan Rafael, he probably scored it 10-2 to Teofimo, but then Dan Rafael, we won't talk about him. But yeah, I mean, listen, everyone I spoke to, all the people I follow online, the WhatsApp groups I'm involved with, everybody had Kambosos winning. And credit to Kambosos because he got his gut checked, didn't he? When he went down in that 10th round, you're thinking, shit, man, I wonder if he's going to be able to recover because he did look hurt. But to be fair to him, he got up, he composed himself, and like you said, he won rounds 11 and 12, no doubt about it. And that suspect gas tank that a lot of people said about Teofimo Lopez was obviously true. You know what I mean? He wasn't able to raise those levels. I mean, I will give Teofimo some credit because he was trying, wasn't he? I mean, in the total absence of any game plan. I mean, that corner work, oh God. The corner work we saw in that fight, I'm not being egregious. That was probably the worst example of corner work I've ever seen in all the time I've been watching boxing. You know what I mean? Seriously, I've not heard worse than that. I've heard some on a par with that, but not worse. Basically, with the game plan was go over there, knock him out, man. You're doing brilliant. Like, even when he was clearly losing, his dad was telling him that he was winning. So maybe that's why.
Right here.
Yeah. This total absence of any technical advice whatsoever. I didn't hear him say use the jab, move your feet, back him up. You know what I mean? All the things that you might have expected to hear. Total absence of any technical advice. All it was go over there and knock him out. Calm down. And then 1 minute he said, calm down. There's a get over there and knock him out. But then they're deserving of each other, man. You know what I mean? That's what they are. They, like you said, Daryl, they came into that fight overconfident, arrogant, tried to get Kambosos out in the first round. You know what I mean? Didn't do his due diligence, didn't have a game plan, thought he was going to walk through Kambosos. And when it didn't happen, he didn't have anything to fall back on.
Yeah.
And what kind of alarmed me as well is, I have to say, man, Teofimo Lopez, he kind of he's not that good, to be honest with you. I'm looking at that fight and I'm thinking, how did he beat Loma?
Hold on, wait, okay. Wait, I'll go to these comments here first. Harvey scored it 115, 111, and Stefan scored it 114, 112. One of those close but clear type of fights. Big up my bro Stefan in the building. Now, I just want to, you said he's not that good. Are we going a bit overboard with that? Because he did look good he did win that fight against Loma. There was no dispute there on our end. Richard Comey, I thought he did brilliant in that fight. Knocked him out in 2 rounds. Didn't expect that at all. Did struggle a bit against Nakatani, but got the win. Are we just going to say he's not good now? Are we just going to, I mean, can we not, do we just put this down to one fight? Like, what do you think? Do you really think that? Do you think he's not good? Or
okay, maybe I should qualify that in saying it was a poor technical performance from him. I mean, he was in there trying. I'll give him that. He didn't quit or anything like that. But I expected to see more. You know what I'm saying? Like, for a top-class guy, that people, I mean, weren't that long ago, people were trying to say he might be on the pound-for-pound list because of his victory over Lomachenko. But, you know, when you're watching, like, really good fighters or great fighters or even very good fighters, they will make adjustments. They will try different things. You can see them in there trying to do things and you think, yeah, you know. He just didn't seem to do anything that I thought, yeah, I can see him, you know what I mean, making adjustments. He's trying to, there's a game plan, there's some strategy there. You know, I didn't see anything. Apart from him throwing the right hand, hoping to knock Kambosos. He weren't setting it up with the jab. He wasn't throwing in combinations. His feet looked stuck to the floor. It really was a very underwhelming performance from him.
Yeah,
and then, of course, you compared Kambosos, and Kambosos boxed really well. Used the jab. He was light on his feet. He was giving Teofimo angles. And one thing I noticed in that fight is that every time Lopez had even the remotest bit of success, Kambosos would come straight back at him as if to just nullify that straight away. And he was doing that all through the fight.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of talk is on what Teo did wrong, but I feel like Kambosos' work is not getting the credit he should really, because, you know, like he did. After the 10th round, I thought, you know what, man, he's struggling to get through this round. I think that the 11th might be a bit on top for him. But he showed me something else. He really wanted to win. He got through that. Not only did he win that 11th round, he actually dominated it. Yeah. I was really like impressed with, you know, how he went about his business. Quickly go to the comments here, Laurie. Ash has said here, I do feel for Tio a little bit. He's clearly like this because of his ridiculous father. IA has said here, I know Eddie Reynoso is getting a lot of hype at the moment, but Lopez's style would suit Reynoso training him. Conrad has said here he agrees with Ash. Harvey says here that Lopez needs to calm down, humble himself, and bin off his dad. Stefan says here, Corey Erdman did a good piece on boxing scene of Teofimo's body language during the fight week. Worth a read for sure. Asher said here, Cambosis' chin is ridiculous. He took power shots from Tio in round 1 like it was nothing. And Stefan has said here, some quality fighter in Australia at the moment, Kambosos, Sue, and Big Daddy Brown.
Those last 3 words, we can delete that. Yeah. I was taking him serious up until that point.
Let's talk about
what you said about Kambosos there was really, he boxed almost the perfect fight. I was really impressed with him. Like I said, going into this fight, I really liked his energy, some of the things he was saying. But then we all know, Daryl, it's easy to talk and appear confident, but when you get in there, you got to deliver. And he did that, no question. And like I said, it wasn't the fact that he hit Teofimo with that big right hand, knocked him down, and it all went thing from there. He actually looked like the better boxer in there. He was doing the better work. He was lighter on his feet. He was using his jab. He was throwing combinations. And what I liked about when he got knocked down is that there's an old adage in boxing that says, if you get knocked down and you're buzzed or hurt, just survive the round. Don't try and go straight back at the guy because you lost the round 10-8 anyway. Yeah. What you need to do then is just collect your thoughts, get your legs back underneath you, and come back in the next round. And that's exactly what he did. But then, Daryl, that is what you get when you get a guy that's well-conditioned, well-trained, well-prepared, and they've got a game plan. Up against someone like Tio, there is no game plan. You know what I mean? All their game plan was flossing during fight week and talking a load of shit. You know what I mean?
Play devil's advocate right here. A lot of talk is on Teofimo Lopez getting rid of his dad. I've seen it in the comments. I've seen everybody talk about it. I've seen you mention it as well. Do you like if you were his manager? I mean, I'm guessing that his dad is his manager as well as his trainer, maybe. But like, would you get rid of him after that performance, or would you give him a bye, considering that he's guided him up until this point? Teofimo Lopez has already come out and said he's not getting rid of his dad. For those that didn't know, so do you give him a bye for that? If you could look at it as a neutral perspective, could you give him a bye for that one fight and say, okay, he got him all the way up until this point, he fucked up in this fight, but we'll give him a chance going forward? Or are you just like, no, get rid of him?
Yeah, if he wants to go far in this game and get his titles back, because let's face it, he is a good fighter. I'm not going.
Hey, he's got far already. He's got far with him already.
Yeah, but I think he may have reached his ceiling with his dad, man. Seriously, I don't think after having seen him in that fight and looking how clueless he was in there, and looking at the total absence of any proper instruction in the corner, he's got to be honest with himself, man. If he can be, if once that delusion dissolves and he's faced in the cold light of day with what's gone on there, he needs to have a big look at himself and say, listen, even if he says to his dad, I still want you involved in my career. You've taken me this far, but I want to bring in somebody that's going to help me technically. And if you're going to stay on board, Dad, you're going to have to stay in the background. I've got this. That's what he's got to say. There's got to be an honest conversation. I get the impression sometimes Teofimo's almost a little bit intimidated by his dad. I don't know the extent of the relationship, because that's how it comes across. Because even in previous times when I've seen him, he clearly looked a little bit embarrassed by his dad, but he just lets it go. So maybe he's in a little awe of his dad. But listen, if he wants to fulfill his potential and make good of his career, he's got to get rid of his dad as a trainer, man. Because seriously, he's not a help. He's actually a hindrance. In that fight, he was a hindrance because he was telling the man, you're ahead, you're winning this fight, when clearly he wasn't. I mean, come on now. He clearly wasn't winning that fight. And yet you got your dad, yeah, go on, you're winning, yeah, he's scared of you. I'm like, what? He's boxing your ears off. What do you mean he's scared of you? And then after the fight, again, no class, no contrition, no humble, nothing. then you're thinking to yourself, maybe they just got caught up in the moment. Maybe the next day or in the days following, they might show a bit of humility and give Kambosos his credit. No, nothing. You know what I mean? If anything, they doubled down on what they were saying in the ring. He's got to get rid of his dad, man. Seriously. But will he? Probably not. Yeah. Like I said, they've got a weird relationship, them two, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. IA says here they had Joey Gamache for Kome and Loma, which were two of Teofimo Lopez's best performances. Stefan has said here, Tank, Shakur, Garcia all calling out Kambosos within minutes of him winning. Where was this energy when Lopez was the champ? These guys, man, Haney has been constantly calling out Teo, so I'm not knocking him. And he's right, because I noticed that as well. Harvey saying here, Garcia saying he'll fight Kambosos really pissed me
that's the one that really got to me. When I saw him come out the woodwork, I was like, get the fuck out of here, man. But they're supposed to be depressed.
Yeah, but all of them, man. Like, let me start off with Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson was getting a bit irate when people were saying, yeah, man, Bob Arum's looking to make the fight with you and Loma. He was saying to people, yo, why is people trying to make me fight Loma when I'm trying to fight Oscar Valdez? Soon as Kambosos wins now, he calls out Kambosos, who's in the same weight division as Loma. Who else is there? Tank. Yeah, Tank never calls any of these guys out. He feels like he's too big of a star to fight these guys. He's calling them out. Ryan Garcia calling out Kambosos as well, creeping out of the woodworks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Calling him out. They're looking at Kambosos as food, man. And
I'll tell you what, they need to watch that, man. They need to learn the lessons of what happened to Teofimo, because Kambosos, I'm going to tell you now, he's not light work for any one of those guys. Trust me, because his conditioning is superb, and as we've said, he can box to a game plan, and he's got enough power to keep people honest. And this is no fluke what he did, man. I mean, he came over here and he beat Lee Selby comfortably. I mean, as we all know, Lee Selby is a good fighter, former world champion. You know what I mean? He beat Mickey Bay in Mickey Bay's home ground as well. So, you know what I mean? This guy ain't no joke thing.
Yeah, but these guys, man, I just want to say,
with Shakur Stevenson, I'll give him a little bit of slack. I'll tell you why. It's because he's been calling out Oscar Valdez, and it's clear that Oscar Valdez, he wants to swerve that fight. So he's probably looking at options. He's thinking, yeah, well, you know, but to be fair to Shakur,
his argument was, why are they trying to make me move up another weight division? I'm trying to fight the guy in my weight class, Oscar Valdez. But as soon as Kambosos won now, oh, you've forgotten about all of that. Oh, you want to move up now? Do you know what I mean? Come on, man. We've got to keep it 100, man.
Yeah, I just think that them guys should have just sort of hold it down, man. You know what I mean? Let the guy enjoy his moment. You know what I mean? It did seem a bit corny the very next day. I mean, if it was a couple of weeks later, you know what I mean? Then I would understand it. But the very next day, all of you are out there, yeah, let's fight. Well done, let's fight. I mean, like, come on now.
Yeah,
and listen, man, there's absolutely no guarantee. Listen, you don't know. Kambosos receipt. Let's take Tank, for example. How many times has Tank had to come from behind to win fights? So that suggests to me that he's more than capable of losing rounds. Don't think that Kambosos is just somebody that you're just going to just turn up and he's going to roll over. He's not that type of dude. He's actually one of my favorite fighters right now, man. You know what I mean? He is. Because, like I said, I love the way he conducts himself. And the thing I love about Kambosos, he don't back down from no one, but he's not really disrespectful of anyone either.
Yeah.
And another thing that I like what Kambosos said, he said, yeah, we could do these fights, but let's go to Australia, because I'm the one that keeps coming to America or fighting guys in their backyards, like what he did with Mickey Bay, like what he did with Lee Selby, like what he did with Teofimo. He goes, let's go to Australia and fight in front of 80,000 Australians and see how you like it then. None of them guys who want to do that. None of those guys, Tank, Shakur. Well, we won't even talk about Ryan Garcia, because last time I heard from him, he was supposed to be going through mental health. Isn't it funny that whenever it suits him, he arises out of his slumber, doesn't he? I thought he was supposed to have mental health problems.
Yeah, I mean, Devin Haney did say he'd go out to Australia and fight him. But
yeah.
look,
Devin Haney, we can understand, because Devin Haney, he was calling out Teo. He's been calling out everyone. Devin Haney has. The only thing I would say about that with Devin is, I want to see you deal with Jojo, then call out Kambosos. You know what I'm saying?
We'll find out after this weekend.
Your thing first, then you call him out after that.
We'll find out after this weekend for sure.
Yeah,
We'll find
you
that
calling
out,
him
man.
out before you've beaten Jojo don't make sense to me, because you've still got what is a very potentially tough fight ahead of you this weekend. So do your business there, and then we can talk.
Go to these comments here. Big up my bro Bon Kui in the building. He's put salute, brother. He's also saying Ryan and Tank are a disgrace to boxing. Stefan here has put here, Garcia posted the quotation saying, all talk, not enough walk. That made me chuckle. I'm not going to lie. He's got no self-awareness at all.
None. In fact, I would go as far as to say that now that Teofimo's humbled, the next one on my humble hit list is him. He's the one I would, you know what I mean? Don't you agree?
Yeah.
You know, when there's certain fighters out there that you think, I'd just love somebody to just humble this guy, man. I would say that we've seen Teo humbled spectacularly. Next, we want either Ryan Garcia or Jamal Charlo, or either one of the Charlos and Ryan Garcia who's got to be next, man, because there are some guys out there, man, that they just need an ass whooping to just remind them that they're not immortal. So, yeah. Ryan Garcia, if he does get whoever he fights next, I want the guy to beat clown.
Ian Hamilton says here, good God, seeing everybody call out Cambosis as if they're thinking like he's the weakest link. Do me a favor. What a pile of morons, honestly. Yeah, it didn't look good, man. I just thought
it was lacking in class, man.
It's disrespectful, man.
It is. Yeah, it is. And like I said, with Shakur, I kind of understood, because to be fair to him, he's trying to get the Oscar Valdez fight. Oscar Valdez, despite what he says on camera, clearly don't fancy it, because you've seen all these shenanigans that Bob Arum's pulling about making a fight with, you know what I mean, other people in Mexico and all that type of stuff. And just the body language from Oscar Valdez does not look like a man that really fancies.
Yeah, but when Bob said fight Loma, he's going to put him in with Loma, Shakur was like, why is he trying to make me move up? So it's a bit hypocritical now. You all of a sudden want to move up and fight Kambosos when Bob tried to make you fight someone in that same weight division a week or two ago. Yeah. So it's a bit hypocritical.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of the call-outs. Show some respect, man. Let the guy enjoy his win. If you're going to call him out, there's plenty of time to do that. You can wait a couple of weeks. Let the man enjoy himself. He's earned it, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Teofimo's been stalling this guy for a year now. You know what I mean? And despite all of that, everybody, and I'm not going to say I was one of them. I did think, I said to you last week, I could see where Kambosos might win, but I predicted that Teo would win. So, you know what I mean? He proved pretty much, that is the upset of the year. Everyone thought that. I'll tell you what the narrative was. The narrative was Kambosos going to go in there, put up a good effort, but ultimately he's going to get beat. Same way like Caleb Plant with Canelo. Go in there, or try his best, but at some point, Teo will prove too good to him, and he'll get to him and probably knock him out. That's what most people thought, but it didn't happen that way, man.
you say upset. You say upset. Yeah, you forget about Kiko Martinez and your boy Kid Galahad. Not upset.
No, that was a great win, but this was a bit more because, listen, like I said, a year ago, people were saying that Teo's on the pound for pound list because he beat Lomachenko. And he was an unbeaten, he was a young fighter. Everyone say, yeah, the takeover. Well, it's now the fake over. You know what I mean? The takeover has become the fake over. So, yeah.
We'll see what happens next, man.
I would say that's upset of the year for me.
What, over Kiko? Do you really over Kiko Martinez and Kid Galahad?
Yeah, because of the magnitude of the fight. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Kiko was a serious upset, man. You know what I mean? It was a serious upset. But this one, because of the magnitude of this fight, it was a way bigger fight than Kid Galahad and Kiko Martinez, wasn't it? The whole world was watching it.
Yeah.
So because of that, I give Kambosos the edge, because I didn't read one news report. I even watched an Australian channel. And even they were saying we're fully behind Kambosos. We'd love him to do it, but Teo looks like a special fighter. We hope we're wrong. That's what they were saying. That's an Australian channel that's been following Kambosos since he was an amateur, apparently.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think for me that edges it, man. That edges it. Enough respect to Kiko, and a bit like what George Kambosos did. I was a fan of what he did because Kid Galahad is another one that needed to be humbled. I didn't like how he was over that, the way he handled that PED stuff earlier in his career. He's not shown he's not an ounce of contrition or remorse or apology about that. So to see him get humbled like that was great. But this one, for me, had a little bit more spice to it, man.
Conrad says here, humble hit list. I've got to steal that one. Bon Kui said here, fake over. That's big facts. He said, brother on the right knows his boxing. Yeah, Laurie, he knows his stuff, man. For real. He knows his stuff. Big up Bon Kui. Getting caught by one shot can happen. Was shocking. So he agrees with you on that one about Kambosos beating Lopez. Steph, here's one. When Sandor Martin beat Mikey Garcia, that was a big upset.
Yeah, that was a big upset. But again, it's the magnitude of the occasion, isn't it? I must admit, I never saw that. But fair play to Sandor Martin. He deserved his win. But this one, man, like I said, the eyes of the world was on this fight. And the way, it's not just the fact that Kambosos beat him, it's the way he did. Like I said, it wasn't like one punch out the blue that he was losing and he turned it around with one big shot. He outboxed Tio, man, from start to finish. And then even when Tio enjoyed that success in the 10th round, like you said earlier, Daryl, Kambosos' response was to come back and win rounds in 11 and 12 clearly. So much so that Teofimo Lopez says he won 11-2. Well, since when did he get the 13th round? I mean, maybe that shows just how discombobulated he was after the fight. He didn't even know.
Yeah.
But seriously, man, it was so heartwarming for me. I know I'm sounding like, maybe I'm going a little bit over the top with it. I don't know. Maybe your viewers will have an opinion on that. But it was just so nice to see like a guy like that just get his just desserts, man. Seriously.
Yeah. Bon Kui says here, Teofimo Lopez Sr. said Kambosos didn't win a single round. They're all delusional. And he also says here, Tank Davis will soon be the new Adrian Broner. I saw a tweet or something today saying that Broner's looking to come back. You going to tune in for that?
That's car crash, isn't it? I mean, listen, man, he clearly needs the money. I mean, he's not going to do anything at world level. We all know that. He's washed ages ago. I don't want to predict this, man, but I see a sad ending for Broner, man. I hope I'm wrong, but the way his career is going, the way his life is going right now, he's boxing for all the wrong reasons, isn't he? Let's be honest. And you get the impression that unless the PBC and Al Heyman really look after him in terms of opponents, he's headed for a long fall, man. You know what I mean? He's
ready for it.
It's not going to be pretty, man. It's not going to be pretty for that guy.
Bon Kui says here, what do you lot think about this Undisputed talk? And I'm guessing that's about the lightweight division. I saw a tweet from, what was it? The guy from Fight Disciples. He came out and he said that the fact that the franchise belt exchanged hands from Teofimo Lopez to George Kambosos says that Cambosis is the undisputed champion of the world. A lot of people disagreed with him on that. They feel like Haney is, that's not Haney's fault because he was the champion. He was supposed to fight Loma. Then Loma was upgraded to franchise and then Haney was given the belt. So you shouldn't all of a sudden say that Haney doesn't have the belt now. So it's just a mess. And the WBC are to blame for this with all this bullshit and all this politics. Is giving everybody confusion as to who is the undisputed champion or not. For me personally, what I will say is that if there is a dispute about it, like what people are having, then that means it's not undisputed. Do you know what I mean? So for me, Devin Haney is the WBC champion. Cambosis is the unified champion. And them two are going to have to fight until we get another undisputed champion.
Yeah. Listen, I absolutely agree with that. It's not Devin Haney's fault. Listen, man, he wanted to fight Loma.
Yeah.
And what I think happened was Loma requested that. Well, we know that because the WBC have actually come out on the record and said that he requested that franchise belt. Let's be honest, man. Loma did not fancy fighting Devin Haney for whatever reason. I'm not saying he's scared of him, or maybe the style, or whatever. He didn't want the fight. To me, he saw Teofimo Lopez as an easier option than Devin. That is the facts of it, man. You know what I mean? He fought Tio, he lost, right? Tio, Kambosos was mandatory, totally overlooked him, paid the price. And now we've got a situation where Devin Haney, who had the WBC belt, he's got a tough fight this weekend. If he comes through, I expect him and Kambosos to meet somewhere down the road. But I would just say, as an admirer of Kambosos, I hope he gets a homecoming fight, man.
I hope he
He
milks it, man.
deserves
I
it.
hope he gets his money.
Yeah, I hope he gets. When I say homecoming fight, even if it's not against Haney, they find someone in the interim. You know what I mean? He can make a defense in front of his own. He deserves that, man. He's been a road warrior.
Yeah.
And he needs to fight in front of the Australians, who I'm sure will give him an absolutely ecstatic reception. And hopefully he'll get the win. And then he can fight Devin Haney sometime in mid-2022 or something like that. I don't know. Because listen, Cambosos has picked up a bit of facial damage. So he's not going to go straight in there, is he? So
No.
what we're in now, December. So yeah, I would say March, maybe February, March, homecoming in Australia, and then maybe later on that year, summer, end of summer, him and Devin Haney. It'll probably happen in America, won't it? Let's be honest. I can't see Devin Haney going to Australia, but it'd be nice if he did take on that challenge. But we'll see.
He said he would.
Manny Pacquiao went to Australia. You see how that worked out for him, didn't it?
Yeah. Stefan says here, the people that are slagging off Devin Haney with these email champ vibes are beyond boring. Loma and Top Rank didn't take the fight, so it is what it is.
Yeah, that's what I've just said. It was not Devin Haney's fault. And to be fair to Devin Haney, he's been consistent. He's been calling out everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, people often, myself, yourself, and people, we don't like fighters that like to cherry pick and go around, jump up and down weights to avoid competition. To be fair to Devin Haney, he's been totally consistent. He's called out Tank. He's called out Loma. He's called out Teofimo. He's called out Ryan Garcia. He's called out all those guys.
Yeah, he has. He has.
He's been the one person that's been totally consistent. So come on, man. Cut the guys some slack. And if he wins on Saturday, which is a good chance that he will, then, you know what I mean, you can't knock him.
Because of that, I want to see him win for that. Do you know what I mean? Just the fact he will fight
I like
anyone.
Devin Haney, man. I don't see why there's some naysayers out there giving him stick, calling him arrogant, this and that. What's he done to deserve that?
Yeah.
Like I said, we want fighters to call the best guys out in the division. There's a certain fighter that I won't name who's made a career out of jumping up and down in weight while avoiding the true challengers. We want somebody to say, yeah, man, bring it. And the fact that he's very young and he's got that energy about him, I think that's something to be applauded. But, you know, hey, we live in an alternative world, man, where people just, you know what I mean, allowed to get away with loads of crap. But, you know, I'm not going to mention that guy's name on this whole show today.
We'll see. Ross United has said here, evening, lads. Did either of you see any of the George Kambosos senior interviews? Proper top man. Yeah, he is a top man. I did see that interview when he was talking about the journey of his son. And that was, you know, great to see, man.
Yeah, it was.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw bits of it. And I would just say on George Kambosos Sr., I mean, I don't know too much about him. And it's early days, I guess, because now they've won the title. We hope they don't change. But to me, he kind of epitomizes what a son and a dad, the relationship they should have. You know what I'm saying? Like the dynamic that they've got is something that other fighters with dads who are prominent in their careers, you see that George Kambosos Sr., he's there, but he's not trying to hog the headlines. He's not, you know what I mean, all in the video, all up in the carry, you know what I mean? That's my boy.
Dancing.
Yeah, dancing. You know what I mean? Yeah, so on a serious note, yeah, he's not trying to take the profile away from his son. He speaks when he's spoken to. You know what I mean? And when he does speak, he's very measured. He gives his son credit, but you can see that they're focused. And I love that, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's move on, man, because we've got some other topics to talk about. We know that there is a game tonight here. Ross United, we all know who he's rooting for, but you all know who we'll be rooting for as well. But yeah, now we'll talk about some of the other topics for this show. I want to speak about, first of all, the fights this weekend, because we have a lot to look forward to this weekend, man. We've got Haney-Diaz and Lyndon Arthur on Saturday. We've got Devin Haney and Jojo Diaz on Saturday. We've also got Gervonta Davis against Isaac-Cruz on Sunday. Actually, Michael Hunter he's fighting today, isn't he? Michael Hunter against Jerry Forrest. You hear about that?
Michael Hunter, man. I mean,
what's happened to his career, man? Quickly, what's happened to his career? Is his career going backwards?
It is. Let's be honest, man. He got dropped by Eddie Hearn. He was talking all that big talk. He was offered a fight with who's the Croatian guy called again? Ergovic, yeah, Filip Ergovic. He swerved that, took a fight. He said he was getting a lot of money. Fair enough. I can kind of understand why he might have done that. But then even now you're beating that guy, you should still fight Ergovic now, surely. So yeah, he looks like he's just in the game to make a few quid. He doesn't seem particularly ambitious to me. So if he can't be bothered, Daryl, why should we be bothered? That's the way I look at it.
It's very
And
true.
until he's going to fight somebody of significance, I'm not really interested in him, to be honest. He's one of those guys that does a lot of chirping, but we don't see him enough.
You know, do you know he's fought that guy already? He fought him when he was 4-0, and he's fighting him now. It's a joke, man. It's just what's happened to Michael Hunter's career.
And this is what I'm saying. Then you get guys like Devin Haney wanting to fight the best and that. And then you get people criticizing Haney, saying, oh, he's arrogant, he's this and that. Who does he think he is? Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, contrast his professional attitude to somebody like Michael Hunter.
Yeah.
Need say no more.
Bon Kui said here, do you believe Cruz has a chance against Tank? I do, but we'll get onto that fight afterwards. I want to talk about Arthur-Yarde first. Yeah, Arthur-Yarde and Stefan's talking about this undercard as well. Maybe should we start on with Tank Davis? I think maybe we should.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Listen, I don't know too much about Isaac Cruz or Isaac Cruz as he's known.
I think it's Isaac Cruz, yeah.
Yeah. Mexican guy, short, likes to get in on the inside. Can punch, decent puncher. I know he's drawn one and lost one, 122. Listen, man, he's got a puncher's chance because Tank can get caught. But I have to admit, man, I can't see him beating Tank. I can't. Tank is a very talented fighter. He's one of those guys that can box and punch, and he's got a hell of a punch. And not only that, I think he's very sturdy, isn't he, Tank? I've never seen him hurt or particularly bothered, really. He can lose rounds. People can outbox him at times, but then I don't think Cruz is that type of fighter. He's going to want to get inside and, you know what I mean, hustle and bustle and stuff like that. In a way, I kind of think he's made for Tank a little bit because Tank won't have to go looking for him, will he? He'll be right there. So if Cruz is still in there by the halfway mark, I'll be surprised, to be honest. I have to say.
Yeah, I think, Jeff said something really good yesterday on his show. He said that the problem with Cruz is that he stays in the pocket for too long. Yeah. And that's just in the danger zone against Tank. Ross is right here when you said you never write off a Mexican fight. They always come to win, but they don't always win.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a bit of a misnomer, that statement, man. I mean, come on. There's lots of other nations that produce great fighters as well. You can't just say, oh, because the Mexican fighter, he's going to win or can't write him off. We've seen, Daryl, you can attest to this. We've seen plenty of Mexicans come over here and look absolutely rubbish. In fact, we used to have a term in this country where Nigel Benn used to use it frequently. We used to call them Mexican road sweepers. You know what I mean? So respect to Mexican fighters. They are, you know, they produced some great fighters over the years. But this sort of narrative, oh, if he's Mexican, he's got to be great. Nah, that's not true at all. There's lots of nations that African Americans, Puerto Ricans, British, you know what I mean? Lots of nations that produce great fighters, not just Mexicans.
Ash is saying here that Cruz has no chance. He says every Tank opponent is cherry-picked, so he's not really feeling Tank.
You know what? When just talking about Tank for 1 second, I can see, I mean, listen, I've been very critical of a certain fighter for cherry-picking, so I've got to keep it 100, man. Tank, he's guilty of that as well, and he did duck Loma.
Yeah, he did duck Loma badly.
Painfully, he ducked Loma, man. Floyd actually said it. No, he's not ready for Loma. And to me, if you've got a world championship belt, all of that not ready stuff is out the window. Once you've got a belt, man, that means you should be able to fight anyone. It's a bit like in the amateurs in this country. They say after you've had a certain amount of fights or you've entered certain competitions, they then classify as what they call open class. That means you're supposed to fight anybody in the country or internationally if you're an open class boxer. The same should apply in professional boxing. If you hold a belt, nothing should be off limits.
Yeah,
you accept all challenges. And when people tried to make that fight with Loma, it was clear to me that Tank didn't want it. You know what I mean? Yeah, and then, you know, Floyd and Leonard Ellaby. Leonard Ellaby is one of my least favorite people in boxing, by the way. Mm-hmm. They're always making this thing of picking opponents that, you know what I mean, let's be honest, man, Tank has advantages over. The only thing I would say about this fight is that by all accounts, and like I said, I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert about Isaac Cruz, but by all accounts, this was going to be a much tougher fight for him than the Rolly Romero.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that one, to me, Rolly Romero is very average, bro.
Yeah.
Very average. You know what I mean? Tank would have absolutely battered it. The only thing that made that quite interesting was the press conferences and all that. In terms of what the action in the ring, that was like for me, that was a 3-round fight.
Yeah, for me, it's time we see Tank's, 26 years old?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's time we see him in with one of those other guys, man.
Yeah, man, we need to...
Not fluctuate between light welterweight, super featherweight, lightweight. No, let's see you stay at lightweight.
Yeah, clean out a division.
You know what I mean?
Clean out a division, man.
Yeah, so
clean out a division, then we can say, yeah, what weight are you? You lightweight or you light welterweight? Next week, you know, you'll be doing that old trick, innit? It'll jump up to welterweight and fight somebody that, you know.
Bro, they were talking about Keith Thurman, weren't they? They were talking about Keith Thurman, man. I'm just like, where's this gonna go?
Yeah,
what, you're gonna jump up to light middleweight and fight Erickson Lubin? What? It's just, I don't get it, man. I want to see him fight. The thing is, though, what I would say is that Tank in America right now is one of the more popular boxers, I'd say, in terms of marketability. So they've done a good job there, even though they have been cherry picking a lot of his fights. Marketability wise, I think he's probably above all of them.
Yeah, I mean, he does. He's got an exciting style and he's very talented. I remember when he came over to Britain, remember? And he fought Ryan Walsh. And at that time, Walsh was considered to be a very good fighter. And then, let's be honest, man, I don't think Walsh has fought since that time. You know what I mean? He absolutely battered him. And that was a lot of people. I remember Steve Bunce was saying, oh, this is going to be a very competitive fight. It was anything but. So he's definitely talented, man. And he can hit very hard. And listen, you know, you hear stories about him, some of the legendary stuff he's done in the gym, knocking out heavyweights, I've been told, and stuff like that. So he's clearly an elite talent, but he's not putting those elite performances in the ring simply because a lot of the fights, man, are not. Even when he fought Santa Cruz and those guys, man, he was a heavy favorite in those fights. You know what I mean? So we still don't really know how good he is, man, because he's not really been like, he has been tested. Because he has been in with fighters who can hold their own and box him. But he's not really...
That dream fight, though, man, that fight against the Haney, that fight, to be fair, with the Ryan Garcia one, I think he was all in on that. But, like, that wasn't really his fault as to why that fight didn't happen. That was more them, the other side. Don't you think?
No, I agree. Yeah.
Let's go to some comments here. Asher said, Josh Taylor and Haney aren't big enough fights for Tank, but Barrios and Gamboa are, says it all. Bonqui says here, lightweight, hamburger weight. Ross United has said here, do you think it would be good for Tank to change promotional teams?
He won't do that. He's not going to do that, is he?
He won't do that anyway, no.
No.
Because like I said, marketability-wise, there's not many US fighters that are above him. In the US,
I mean his promoters, like Leonard Ellaby, all that guy ever talks about is pay-per-view numbers and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's just...
I think Tank is, he is, amongst the hip-hop community out there, I think he is quite big.
Yeah, because he's great to watch. Like I said, man, he gets the job done. He's like a mini Mike Tyson, isn't he? Sometimes in a way, But you look at him and you think there's more there, man. I want to see more. I want to see you take on a guy. He wants like that marquee fight, innit? That marquee name on your record that people can say, yeah, man, you went heads up with a guy and, you know what I mean, there was a chance that the other guy could beat you. At the moment, we've not really had that with any of Tank's fights. So he's been a like heavy, overwhelming favorite in every fight he's been in.
I'm trying to think, maybe that fight, Pedraza at the time. I think that fight, I was like, that's a good test for him because it was his first title fight then. So we're like, and I thought Pedraza was pretty good, but he disposed of him. But yeah, since then, I ain't really seen him in that real, 50. Yeah, Stefan says it here as well. Pedraza, that was the fight where I was like, oh, this is a tough fight. But then after that, I was just like, yeah, Tank's the overwhelming favorite in this. Do you know what I mean? It hasn't really had that fight where I thought, shit, man, he could lose that. I haven't really, none at all. None since then.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying, man. I mean, and, imagine him and Loma. That would have been a great fight, man. I mean, the fans were robbed, really, weren't they?
Yeah.
And he could have beaten Loma because, look, Tio beat him. Sometimes you got to have that belief in yourself, or maybe not him so much, because I'm sure he's got the belief in himself. But so people that's promoting you, Floyd Mayweather and Leonard Ellaby, you know what I mean? They seem to be in this situation whereby they just want to put him in fights where he's guaranteed the win. He looks good in doing so. So he gets those highlight reel knockouts, like against Santa Cruz and people like that. But he's not really tested in that way. I mean, he was tested because he was actually behind on the cards when he landed that knockout win. But what I mean is, like, going into that fight, he was an overwhelming favorite with everyone. You know what I mean? So until that dynamic changes and he's in there with a serious threat, an acknowledged serious threat, I still think people are going to be, they're always going to say, look, come on, man, you need to step your game out and fight the best guys in the division that you're in. Pick a division, clean it out, and we go from there.
Bonqui said here, what is this bridgerweight in boxing? Is it a new weight class? Yeah, it's a weight class in between cruiserweight and heavyweight that the WBC created. The less said about that, the better. Big Lewis said here, Loma would have beat Tank at that time. And
would he though? Would he? We don't know.
I think he would have, yeah. But you don't know though. I'm not.
Maybe Tank might have knocked him out. No, don't know. But we will never know because he didn't take the fight.
Yeah, yeah. Asher said here, there's no hype around Tank and Cruz. I could see this doing around 100,000 buys. So yeah, I mean,
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. There's been a noticeable lack of hype. I mean, they're trying to hype it up in America, and you know they're doing the old 24/7 stuff. But let's be honest as well. Isaac Cruz doesn't sell a fight very well. He's not a good talker. Doesn't speak English, and he doesn't really have a backstory that's really gonna sell this fight. So it's all about Tank, isn't it? It's all about what round Tank's gonna knock him out.
To be fair, he's a late replacement, though, isn't he? He wasn't the actual first choice for the fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they chose Rolly Romero, because let's be honest, man, he's kind of the perfect storm. He didn't have a chance to win, but he was talking all of that and actually managed to convince some people that he might have a chance. But those of us who'd seen him fight know that he had zero chance against Tank. He would have got knocked spark out in less than 5-6 rounds. In fact, if he'd have gone past 5, that would have been almost like a win for him, for me. Because Rolly Romero is not a talented fighter. He's just strong with a half-decent punch.
Stefan has said here, Tank is a big draw in America, though, and the card is Sunday night, so it doesn't clash with Haney and Diaz. It could still do decent numbers.
Yeah, no doubt Leonard Ellaby will be telling us after the fight, oh, they've done more numbers than Devin's fight. And well, Leonard Ellaby.
Let's talk about Devin's fight, man. He'll be fighting Jojo Diaz this weekend. Looking forward to that one, man. I like Jojo Diaz for real. I do like him. He's not a natural lightweight, though. I feel that Devin Haney does hold the physical advantages over Jojo Diaz, but I think Jojo Diaz will make it a fight. He's a tough, solid guy. Former world champion himself, and he'll be coming to win, man. I do like him, but I just feel that Devin Haney will be even more. I think he'll be switched on. I think he'll use his gifts, his advantages in his height and reach, the naturally bigger fighter as well. And I think he'll win a decision. I think he might have to go through a few rough moments. Maybe it's similar to the Linares fight. But Jojo Diaz, man, he's only got one loss on his record, man. That was to your boy, Gary Russell Jr. What's your thoughts on Jojo Diaz, man? Do you like his chances?
No, I don't like his chances. I think it's. I think if Devin switched on, which he will be, I could see him winning this quite comfortably. I could even see him getting a late stoppage.
Yeah.
Meaning that, it will put it on him, and it'll be one of those whereby you'll get to round 9, 10, 11, and the corner will think, yeah, man, Jojo's taking a bit too much. Let's save him for another day. So I'm actually predicting a late stoppage because I think Devin hits harder than what a lot of people give him credit for. I mean, it was interesting because when he fought Linares, who's, let's face it, a damn good fighter, he was winning that fight easily until he got caught. It was at the 9th round. But the interesting thing is he'd won all the rounds before that. And maybe I think he lost the round after that. But then he won the last 2. So, you know what I mean? And Linares is a quality fighter. Linares had still had some juice in him as well. So, yeah, man, like you said, Diaz is not natural at that weight. He's stepping up. And there's a big size differential, and Devin is younger, hungrier, and I just can't see Jojo beating him. I think if Jojo was like a one-punch knockout artist, then I could say, yeah, he's got a chance. But even if he does tag Devin, then I can't see him knocking him out. And I think his game plan would seem to be that he's going to try and out hustle Devin Haney, which means he's going to like walk straight in and try and apply pressure. But I just think one of Devin Haney's strengths actually is his jab and his movement. So I think, yeah, I can't see anything other than a Devin Haney. That being said, a lot of people didn't give Kambosos much of a chance last week, and you saw what happened there. So I'm sure Lopez would have looked at that. Sorry, Jojo Diaz would have looked at that last week and said, yeah, man, you know what I mean? Upset season, you know what I mean? So, but if you're asking me for a prediction, I'm going for Devin Haney by 10th, 11th round stoppage.
One thing I liked in that Haney and Linares fight is when Linares wobbled him at the end of that round. He was like, yeah, there you go, man. that was, and a lot of people picked up on that after, man. I saw your boy Ryan Garcia come out and say, yeah, I would have slept him. Other people saw after that fight what Haney won because it was a shaky ending in that fight. So a lot of people were like, yo, I'd get rid of Haney. But yeah, maybe Jojo
easy to say that though, isn't it? But then when Devin was calling these guys out, none of them wanted to know. I remember, if you remember, when Ryan Garcia, when he beat Luke Campbell, and let's face it, man, he had to get off the floor, and he looked like if Luke Campbell had only put his foot on the gas, that could have been a totally different fight. But anyway, credit to Ryan Garcia, he got the win. I remember Devin was in there, came in the ring after, called him out. And you could see then that Ryan Garcia didn't fancy. And then you hear stories about when they sparred, you heard stories about they fought 6 times as an amateur and Devin Haney won 4 of them. And you think to yourself, yeah, I can see why he was swerving that, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Devin wants it with all these guys. Not all of them want it with him.
Go to some comments here. Asher said, Laurie is spot on. I predict the corner throwing in the towel. Bon Quia said here, Nelly featuring Devin Haney, just a dream. Stefan has said here, Diaz is a very good fighter, but he's too small for Haney, in my opinion. It will still be a credible win, though, for Haney. I agree with that.
Because Jojo Diaz is a good fighter. He's a former American Olympian as well, isn't he? So
yeah, former world champion, man.
Yeah. And I remember when he went up against Tevin Farmer, didn't he?
Yeah,
he beat him quite comfortably, to be honest. And he gave Gary Russell Jr. a good fight too. He didn't win, but he gave him he was competitive in that fight. But I just think that Devin Haney, too young, too strong, too big at that weight, too much fast twitch fibers. I just think that Devin Haney, he's not even in his prime yet, but he's approaching his prime. And I just can't see Jojo Diaz, unless he was to land a Hail Mary shot, which that's not really his thing. So yeah, I'm going with Devin.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'll go with Devin on points. But I think we're both in agreement that we'll pick Devin to win that fight. I do have to admit, I do like Jojo Diaz, man. He's one of the guys I do like watching him. I do like him as well. But I think that, yeah.
I'm impressed by his attitude. He seems to have embraced it and he's going for it. But I can't see him winning.
No. Asher said here, Haney has a glass chin, quote unquote, but he's never been dropped. Garcia, Loma, and Tio all have been.
And Linares can punch, man. Linares dropped Loma, didn't he?
Yeah,
Linares dropped Luke Campbell. He dropped those guys. You know what I mean? So when he wobbled him, but he didn't finish him. It's boxing, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what happens in fights. Mike Tyson in his prime, man, Frank Bruno wobbled him badly in that fight. You know what I mean? So, happens.
Bon Quia said here, Josh Taylor versus Devin Haney would be a great fight. I think that's probably a bit too early for Devin for me. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, that's too early. And plus, Devin's still a lightweight. He's got a lot of growing to do. Josh Taylor's ahead of the game, isn't he? Josh is... I don't think Josh Taylor gets enough credit for what he's done, man.
And I think he's as big. You saw him stand next to Crawford. He's like a welterweight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, listen, man, Devin Haney won't really be looking at the likes of Josh Taylor just yet.
Yeah.
Josh is ahead of the game.
You know Stefan says that anyone who gets rocked has a glass chin, according to
it is. It is stupid. Yeah, I think you're right, Stefan. People's logic these days, man. I mean, listen, these guys, a lot of them, even the guys that, I mean, look at Cambosis. He wasn't considered a puncher.
No.
But he caught Tio on the perfect spot in the first round and dropped him. It can happen. You know what I mean? I mean, to be fair to Tio, he got up. He was fighting back. Later on, he dropped Kambosos. He got back up. So does that mean that Tio's chinny and George Cambosis chinny? Nah, they just got caught with a perfect shot at the right time. It can happen.
I agree. Listen, Laurie, 2 more topics before we go. We're going to get your quick thoughts on Kell Brook and Amir Khan being made official. But before I do, I want to speak on the other fight this weekend taking place over here in the UK between Lyndon Arthur and Anthony-Yarde. I was just watching the press conference before we went live. And
did they take it to the roads?
No, they didn't take it to the roads in this one, man. It was a bit more low-key, this one. But that's I expect.
That much away from taking it to the roads, that much.
Listen, Laura, I'm pumped, I'm pumped for this one.
Yeah.
I really can't wait for this fight because the rematch for me, I'm just like, I can make arguments for both winning. You could say Lyndon Arthur is being underrated again. People are just saying, oh, Yarde didn't do this last time. Yarde didn't do that. But what about what Lyndon Arthur did? What about the fact that he really used one hand for the majority of that fight? He's going to come into this with 2 healthy hands now. You get the feeling with Yarde that he has to win it. A lot of pressure on him to win. He's got the fans behind him this time. Different circumstances in his personal life this time. He seems a lot more relaxed. So I'm kind of on the fence, man. I don't want to be, but I just feel like you can make a case for both of them winning.
You can. Listen, man, I like you, man. I can't wait for this fight. And it's funny because I've been thinking about this fight since last week. I've been looking ahead to this week. And I'm thinking about this fight. And it's one of those fights where you can genuinely make a case for either man winning. You genuinely could. I just want to say as well with Anthony-Yarde, a little bit biased because I know him and we've done some stuff with him in the past and he's a cool guy. But listen, man, I'm leaning towards Yarde, and I'll tell you why. Because I think
a stoppage, like what this guy's saying. Do you think it'd be a stoppage?
I think he's capable of stopping anyone in the light heavyweight division because he can punch, man. Trust me. I mean, I spoke to Dan, my mate Dan Aziz. Shout out to Dan Aziz, British champion, and he said to me, he goes, "Listen, I've sparred with Anthony-Yarde, man, and he can punch." You know what I mean? And when Dan is a man, he don't bullshit. He told me, he said, "Listen, man, the guy can punch. He's quick. He's good. Does have skill." But then even Dan was saying, "I'm not sure whether he'll beat Lyndon because Lyndon's got a great jab. He can box. He's taller. He's rangier. You know what I mean? So he has advantages there. So it's one of them. I mean, listen, some people have criticized Anthony-Yarde saying he made excuses. But what I would say to those people who are criticizing him is, you imagine if that was you, man, and you lost your dad and your grandmother within a week to COVID. And I'm since finding out that there was other family members that got caught up in that as well. So he went through a real tough time, man. I mean, are we saying that, you know what I mean, like it wouldn't have no effect on him at all? Of course it is, man. You know what I mean? You're going into a fight with that in the background. Of course it's going to affect your training, you know what I mean? Of course it's going to affect how you sleep at night. And your overall mental health is going to be affected by something like that. So he's going into this fight with those things not removed because, you know, once you've had a loss, it will always be there. But, you know what I mean? The freshness of it isn't there. He's had time to try and get over it or deal with it as best as he can. So he's going into this fight, man, a bit more refreshed. And I think that might be the difference. So I'm leaning towards Yarde ever so slightly, but that's not to take anything away from Lyndon Arthur, who's clearly a very good fighter. And I've got a lot of respect for Pat Barrett, a guy I've met a few times. And, you know what I mean, he's a real nice guy. And not just a nice guy, he knows his boxing. He was a top fighter himself, top trainer. And he knows what he's doing in there, man. Trust me. So I can't wait for this fight, man.
Can't wait. A lot of comments here on this fight. I think a lot of people are looking forward to it like we are. But you're going to laugh at this one here. What light heavyweights do you think stand a chance against Bivol and Beterbiev? And the reason why I say you're going to laugh at this one is not because of your comment, Marlo, but it's because Laurie and myself were ripping into these two on the show yesterday with Jeff TV. Big up Jeff TV. And I'm just disappointed in Bivol more than Beterbiev. And that's just the fact that Bivol, I feel like his career is not excelling as it should be. I think he's a top quality fighter, but I don't think he's really reached his potential yet. But what light heavyweights do I think stand a chance against them two? Who do you think, Laurie? I mean, who do you think?
Come on, man. Bivol's not unbeatable, is he? I mean, let's face it, man. In that fight he had with Craig Richards, he wasn't very impressive, was he? So much so that Craig Richards and his team actually thought they won the fight. You know what I mean?
I don't think they won it.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think he won it either, but you know what I'm saying though. You know, I'm not sure if Craig Richards would have been saying that if he'd have shared the ring with Beterbiev, to be honest. I'm just, so that'll give you an indication. I mean, but then even Beterbiev, apparently he didn't look that good in his last fight either, and he's getting on in years. And the thing about Beterbiev, bit like Bivol, he hardly fights, does he? What, once a year, if that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Beterbiev is getting on. What is he, 38 now?
Something like that.
Bivol is the one that really disappoints me, man. You know what I mean? He's supposed to have these next level skills, and I know my boy Shane's always going on about how good he is and all that, man. But when's he going to fight? When's he going to start, you know, putting himself out there that he wants to fight people? He seems content to just fly under the radar and just come out of his hovel every now and again, man. It's very unimpressive. He seems almost like he's holding the belts hostage. So yeah, very unimpressive stuff. I think that Buatsi's got a chance against either of those two.
Joe Smith Jr. He's fighting Callum
Yeah,
Johnson.
I think Joe Smith Jr. I mean, Joe Smith Jr. We was talking about it on Jeff's show yesterday. Joe Smith Jr. He's fought Bivol already, and he was beaten on points. But like Joe Smith Jr. said, when I fought him then, I was only a part-time boxer. He was working on a building site, on a construction site in New York, and having to train in the evening. So that's not the best preparation. Since then, he's gone on. He's now a full-time pro, and he's won a version of the World Championship. So he fancies that fight. He's on the record of saying, I'd love to have a rematch with Bivol. I think I'll beat him next time. But Beterbiev, he's got Marcus Brown coming up. I can't see Marcus Brown getting anything out of that. I think Marcus Brown can win some rounds on account of his boxing ability in his youth. But I think sooner or later, man, Beterbiev is going to catch up to him and dispatch him, is what I would say with that one. So I would say that Bivol is more beatable than Beterbiev right now.
What about Joe Smith Jr. and Callum Johnson? That fight's been announced now.
Oh, has that been announced? Oh, that's a good fight, man.
Yeah,
that's a great fight. It could be one of those who lands first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd lean slightly towards Joe Smith Jr. Because he's longer, rangier, got a better jab and that. But I think
Callum Johnson was hurt in that other fight, wasn't he? Not long ago.
I think Callum Johnson is very strong physically, and he's capable of, you know what I mean? He had Beterbiev on the floor, had him hurt, couldn't finish him off though. So yeah, I like the look of that fight. That's a good fight, man. Was that for the WBO, is it?
Yeah, and the winner of Yarde and Arthur will be in place to fight for that belt.
Yeah. I mean, listen, man, I'd like I like Joe Smith, but I'd like Callum Johnson to win that fight, given that he's a Brit, and then that would set up either a fight with Yarde or Arthur, or even Buatsi. You know what I mean? That would be a great fight, wouldn't it? The light heavyweight division in this country, especially, man, is lit.
Yeah.
You know, you could throw in my boy Dan Aziz into the mix as well. After he won the British title, he was calling out all them man. And I've spoken to Dan about that, and he really does believe he can beat any one of them now. That's what winning titles does. It gives you confidence because you know you bridge that gap. You're ready to take on other challenges. So, yeah, man. But back to Arthur and Yarde. I'm looking forward to that fight. To me, that's one of the fights I've been looking forward to for a long time. I'm leaning slightly towards Anthony Yarde. But it won't be easy. Well, even if he does get the stoppage, it won't be easy. Lyndon will be in, you know what I mean, in his face with that jab. And he says he's got a better right hand now. He can throw it. So we'll see. We'll see, man.
Some predictions here in the comments. Big Lou, my brother, he's put here, Lyndon Arthur repeat. Harvey has said here, it's going to be a much better fight than the first, but I still see Lyndon winning a decision.
A lot of people are saying that, you know. A lot of people are saying Lyndon by points.
Stefan has said here, Yarde needs to be more aggressive this time round, but I'm not convinced he has the gas tank to sustain the attacks if Arthur stands up to his power.
That's a very good point.
I edge Yarde though, but with no conviction, at all. It's a really good fight. So yeah,
it's one of those fights where I know what I'll be doing, man. I'll be sat around watching that fight, and I'll have my thing, my paper, and I'll be scoring that fight as it goes on, because it could be another one of those controversial fights, isn't it? It could be one of those at the end of the 12th, you're sort of thinking, do I reward Lyndon's jab and maybe his punch output, or do I reward Yarde's aggression and his heavier hitting? It could be one of them.
Yeah. Asher said here, Bivol is really good, but he's stagnated. He won 12. He was 12-0 against people like Joe Smith. Like Shane said, he was on a good run. but now he's stagnated a lot.
Yeah, he's probably hit that curve where, you know what I mean, he wants easy fights, but he can't get them. He probably thought Craig Richards was an easy fight, and it wasn't, because Craig did well against him. You know what I mean? Bivol, man, I'm just so unimpressed by that guy, man. He's just hiding. He's doing what I call hiding in plain sight. You don't want to fight Beterbiev. You don't want to put himself out there, man. Guys like that, man, are just holding the belt hostage. But fight or get out the game, man. You know what I mean? That's simple as that. What are you going to do? Are you going to fight or not? Then he's going to hold on to the title for X amount of years.
He's got a fight coming up, isn't he?
World champion for 8 years. Get out of here, man. You know what I mean?
He's got a fight coming up, isn't he? Bivol.
Against who, though? Against who?
Well,
exactly. You know what I mean? Get out of here, man.
Stefan says here, Joe Smith Jr. has an excellent chin. That will be the main difference against Johnson, in my opinion.
Could well be right. Could be who's the first one to land a significant shot as well, because don't write out Callum Johnson, man. The guy can punch and he's physically very strong.
Daniel White, big up Daniel White, man. He's put here, imagine a UK Super 6 with the light heavyweights. Listen, man, that would be a dream, but will it happen? No. I wish it would.
Yeah, but I mean, I have to say, on the face of it, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, Darryl. I think the light heavyweight division in this country is probably the most competitive, isn't it? In terms of British fighters.
That's what he's saying, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Dan Aziz, you've got Buatsi, you've got Callum Johnson, you've got Callum Smith now as well. He's come up to light heavyweight.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? You've got Lindenhofer, you've got Yard, you've got Craig let's not count out Craig Richards, he's still there or thereabouts. That division is lit, bro. You know what I mean? So if I was a promoter, I'll be trying to make those fights. Because there's nothing quite like a British showdown, is it, though? You know what I mean?
No. Like Saturday night.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all to play for, man.
Yeah. Let's go back to the comments here. Big up my bro Dan in the building. He's put fight or get out the game.
Yeah. like my boy. I said I wasn't going to mention his name, but it's hard not to mention him. No boxing, no life. If you're not going to fight, get the fuck out.
Stefan has said here, Bivol is fighting Umar Salamov.
You see what I mean now? You see what I mean? Who is that guy?
He's a Russian guy, isn't he? Yeah, Volts is saying it as well. Mr. KWX Ben, he's put here, Johnson has a brilliant left and right side of face as a defense. So he's not rating Johnson's defense at all, man.
No, I mean, he's not. He's like a lot of Joe Gallagher's fighters. They're defensively not very responsible. However, like I said before, Callum Johnson, very tough, physically very strong, man, and he hits hard. So you can't write him out against pretty much any one of those top flight guys. Ask Arthur-Yarde. He's one of the few people to floor Beterbiev, man, and had him looking worried. So, you know what I mean? You can't write him out.
Asher said here, who does Laurie... This is a hard one to ask Laurie, yeah, because he's a bit biased here. But I mean, with respect, he's put, who does Laurie think is the best British light heavyweight?
That's a hard one, man. Boy, that is a...
I think Buatsi for me.
On the spot there. Buatsi's probably maybe edging it. I don't know.
It's tough, though. Yeah, it's tough.
You got Yard. You got my boy Dan.
Callum Johnson.
Callum
Smith, former world champ.
I mean, Callum Smith in his last fight at light heavyweight, you saw what he did there.
Yeah.
Smoked the guy.
Yeah.
And he's saying that he had weight issues at super middle. He did look a massive super middle, didn't he?
Yeah,
since the Canelo fight, well, I was going to say fight, but it was hardly a fight, was it? Because he didn't do anything in that fight. So, yeah, man, I wouldn't like to say. Let me look at this fight this weekend and ask me that again next weekend. I have to see how Yard looks against Arthur and vice versa. But do not write out my boy Dan. I've spoke to Dan during the week, and I'm telling you now, man, he is very confident. And the way he walked through Hosea Burton.
He's brilliant.
Yeah, he's on fire right now. And he said to me, Laurie, I honestly don't care which one of them, man, that I fight. I think I can beat them. And when you see a guy, it's a bit like what I was saying earlier with Kambosos. Cambosis was telling us all that time, innit? I've got this. And everyone was like, yeah, typical. He's going to go in there. He's going to put up a good effort, but ultimately he'll get beaten. You saw what happened, man. He outboxed Tio completely.
Yeah. Let's move on quickly before we go, man, because I know that the game's kicking off soon. I want to give you guys enough time to prepare for that. Daniel White has said here, with Khan and Brook, and let's talk about Khan and Brook before we go. He's put here, with Khan and Brook, I always used to say Khan, and I'll still lean towards him. Who do you both think? The orbital bones have evened up the glass jaw thing. I'll say, first of all, before we go to Laurie, for me, it's like, I always favored Brook. I always favored Brook to beat him. If they were to fight back in 2015, 16, I would have went for Brook. But now, I'm just like, it's a take your pick, really. I mean, Khan hasn't fought for 2 years. Will be 3 years when he steps in there with Brook. Brook, he has fought more recently, but he's looked very vulnerable. Got stopped against Crawford very early. First real shot that got landed. He suffered serious damage to both of his eyes now. Khan probably the more fresher guy. And I just don't know. I don't think Brook lives the life out of the ring, whereas Khan definitely don't look as bad as Brook in that press conference anyway, in terms of the weight. It's really up in the air, man. I think it could go to anyone.
Yeah, you know what? I'd have trouble disagreeing with anything you said there. I mean, listen, I saw the press conference, and I have to admit, I was quite impressed with Amir Khan's demeanor, I've got to say. Normally, he's not the best talker. Maybe it's because Kel's not a good talker either. But Amir looked composed, and he looked like full of conviction to me, man. Whereas Kel, he was just repeating that mantra, I'm going to knock your spark out. I'm going to knock your spark out. I was impressed with Amir Khan's demeanor at the press conference. And he seemed focused, man. I mean, looking at Amir Khan as well, he looked a lot better than Kell Brook. Kell Brook looked like he's at least a stone overweight. So that would suggest for the first couple of weeks of his camp, it's going to be a fat camp, isn't it? It's going to be all about losing weight. Whereas Amir Khan, he looks like a fighter that's done his due diligence, has been training already, and he's prepared to go into a proper camp now to get himself in the best possible shape for the fight. He said at that press conference, he goes, I've been training, but I'm flying out to America tomorrow to team up with Bomac and Crawford to start training in earnest. And I must admit, I was quite impressed with that. So at this moment in time, man, if you put me on the spot, I'm leaning towards Khan. And like you, if you'd have asked me before, I would always straight away, I would have said, yeah, Brook. And Brook could win because Brook can punch. But then Kell Brook, man, those orbital eye injuries, man, on both eyes. I think he's a bit gun shy, man. I've got to say. And it could be, you know what Amir Khan's like, man. He always starts fast. Every fight that guy has, he starts quick. He's probably got the fastest hands in boxing, even now. Even now that he's, at an advanced or very advanced stage of his career. I can't see, possibly Gary Russell Jr.
Gary Russell, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only other guy. But at welterweight, he's the fastest. He's got the fastest hands. And if he can land on Kell early and damage that eye or, put doubts in Kell's mind, I think he'd probably beat him. But I just would want to say as well that I was one of those guys that was always lamenting the fact that this fight hadn't been made earlier. But I must admit, now that the fight's made and I watched that press conference, I'm actually looking forward to this fight, man. I really am. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Like some people, I remember chatting to Robbie, them two, man, they should sit down, man. I go, Robbie, man, trust me. When that fight comes around in February, you'll be watching it. And then even he said, actually, yeah, you know what, I probably will. So, yeah, bring it on, man.
There's some funny comments in here, man. I'm going through them quickly. Volts has said here, Brook has ordered some Ingle Pringles. Stefan has said here, Kell Brook to win via chocolate brownies in round 8. Asher said here, Kell had an absolute mare. Imagine getting outwitted by Khan.
Yeah, man. I never thought that would happen. Kell was reduced to, I'm going to knock your spark out, man. But Amir was coming with all the one-liners. He looked the part. He's talking confident. He looked, he definitely won that press conference. 100%.
I think so. Bonqui said here, Errol Spence and Triple G will be in Kell Brook's corner, coaching him to win against Amir Khan. And Volzer said here, Brook can retire and go to Marbella. Let me not even go there.
I know.
But listen, man, Laurie, we're going to have to wrap it up for this week, man. It's been a great show.
It's been a pleasure. What a wonderful week. What a wonderful week.
Yeah, I'll let you have the last word, man. The last word on this.
Oh, man, that fight last week, man, I enjoyed that so much that even, I stayed up to watch the Steve Fulton Figueroa, which incidentally, that was another great fight. Yeah, that was another great fight. Fulton pulled it out in the end, but it was very close. Could have gone either way. I leaned slightly towards Fulton because I thought he did the better work. But it was one of them where if you want if you appreciate more volume punching and someone coming forward, you would have gone for Figueroa. If you like somebody that boxes better and has a more effective punching, then you lean towards Fulton. I lean towards Fulton, but he's one of them that if it had gone the other way, I wouldn't be crying over spilt milk. But anyway, yeah, I was so energized by what I saw, man. I was probably up until about 7, 8 in the morning, man. And my phone was just going crazy. People texting me saying, yeah, what do you think? I bet you were glad. I said, yeah, of course I was glad, man. You know what I mean? It needed to happen. You know what I mean? It needed to happen. And it happened. And it was a great fight as well. So, yeah, man, it's all good. Like I said, boxing's one of those sports, man. The way it serves up karma, it's like no other sport. And last week you saw karma.
Well, I'm looking forward to a real good weekend of boxing this week, man. I really am.
Shout out to my boy Haney-Diaz, man, and my boy Tunde. I mean, Tunde gets a lot of stick, man, but if he wins this fight,
what about Lyndon and Pat?
No, listen. What I was going to say is, with Tunde, if he does get the win, I'll be happy for him because so many people are on his case, and I think they come for him a little bit too readily, man. He's a nice guy, trust me. Tunde is a nice guy, trust me.
Yeah, but you've met him. Not everyone's met him. People are going by, but people are going by what he's put out there. You've met him.
Yeah, I get that. But what I'm saying that I think people should rein it in a little bit because he's not a Teofimo Lopez Sr., is he? He's not like that. He's not obnoxious. He's a bit
not as bad as him.
Nah. But may the best man win. But like I said, I know Haney-Diaz personally. He's been on the channel. He's been on your channel before, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So is Tunde and nice guys, and they put the work in. But yeah, may the best man win.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up for today, man. Big up to everybody in the chat, first of all. Some new guys in the comments. I hope that you can subscribe to the channel, mate. If you haven't already, just hit that subscribe button. Get me to that 1,000 mark, please. Hit the like button, share the video, and guys, I'll be doing some more videos after this weekend. I'll be doing a post-fight review of this weekend's action as well, and I'll be looking for more videos during the week. But in the meantime, man, just hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and thank you all for your comments. And listen, guys, we'll catch you on the next one.